Winter had hit Maplewood hard that year, blanketing everything in snow and turning the peaceful town into a quiet, frost-bitten world where time seemed to slow down. John Mercer, a struggling single father of 2 young boys, barely had enough to keep the heating on in their small, worn-down cabin on the outskirts of town. Life had been relentlessly hard since his wife passed away 2 years ago in a tragic car accident that left him both emotionally shattered and financially drained. John had once been a skilled mechanic, owning a modest shop downtown. But after losing his wife, he couldn't keep up with the mounting bills, and the business closed within a year. Now he picked up odd jobs, shoveling snow, fixing engines in freezing garages, delivering groceries, anything to scrape together enough money to feed his boys, Ethan and Noah. But even in all the hardship, John never complained. His love for his children gave him purpose, and he fought every day to keep their spirits high, even when his own were crumbling. One icy Sunday afternoon, John was returning home after clearing driveways in the wealthier neighborhoods of Maplewood. He took the backroad shortcut by Crystal Pine Lake, a frozen expanse known more for its beauty than safety. Locals often warned children to stay away during the early and late winter months when the ice was unpredictable. As he drove past the lake, he noticed something off, a pair of small, frantic figures near the center of the ice. He slammed on the brakes, heart thudding in panic. It was 2 little girls, twins, by the look of them, no older than 6. One was waving wildly, screaming, while the other stood frozen in shock. Then, in an instant that made John's heart seize, the ice gave way beneath them, and both girls plunged into the freezing water. Without thinking, John bolted from his truck, shouting for help even though the area was empty. He grabbed the tow rope from his trunk, tied it around his waist, and sprinted toward the girls. The wind sliced through him, and the ice crackled ominously under his boots, but he didn't stop. He reached the edge where the hole had formed and saw the girls flailing in the dark, icy water. Their cries were muffled by the roar of wind and terror. "Hold on!" John yelled as he dropped to his stomach and began sliding forward. He reached one of the twins first, who clung to his arm with the strength of desperation. He pulled her up, teeth chattering violently, and shoved her back toward the shore, urging her to crawl. The second girl was sinking, he could barely see her. Without hesitation, John plunged into the hole, the cold stabbing his chest like knives. He found her arm and yanked her up, wrapping the rope tightly around them both as he struggled to break the surface again. John somehow managed to push the second twin out of the hole before he himself passed out from the cold, slipping into darkness as the rope tethered to his truck held him halfway above water. Minutes later, a passing hiker found the scene and called emergency services. By the time paramedics arrived, John had been unconscious for several minutes, body trembling uncontrollably from hypothermia, but both girls were alive. The news spread quickly. A mystery man had saved the twin daughters of one of the wealthiest families in town, risking his life to do so. The girls, Ava and Aria Kingsley, were the children of billionaire philanthropist Edward Kingsley, who had recently moved into a private estate on the north side of Maplewood to escape the public eye. John awoke in a hospital bed 2 days later, sore, weak, but alive. His first thoughts were of his sons, then the girls. Nurses assured him the children were safe and recovering well. But no one had come to thank him. No one visited. He assumed their family must have already thanked him through the hospital, or maybe they didn't even know who he was. After all, he had no phone, and no one had asked his name. When discharged, John walked 3 miles in the snow to get back home, exhausted, frostbitten fingers barely moving. But his boys ran out and hugged him tightly, and that was all the warmth he needed. Meanwhile, Edward Kingsley had been searching for the man who saved his daughters, reviewing local security footage and hospital logs. His daughters, once they regained full speech, kept saying, "The man with the blue truck and kind eyes saved them." One of them had seen the name Mercer stitched faintly on the inside of John's jacket. That small clue led Edward to John's doorstep 5 days after the rescue, not alone, but accompanied by a convoy of 10 luxury SUVs, their engines purring in front of John's modest home. John, confused and in his tattered coat, stepped out onto the porch. His sons peered curiously from behind the door. When Edward Kingsley stepped out of the lead SUV, flanked by his twin daughters, John recognized the girls instantly. Ava and Arya ran up to John and hugged him, tears in their eyes. Edward approached slowly, emotion clouding his voice as he said, "You saved my daughters. And I came here not just to thank you, but to change your life." What happened next would shake the entire town, and redefine what a miracle looks like.